meeting of the Pasadena Area City College District on Wednesday, March 18th, 2020. This is our regular, although nothing can be described as regular anymore, business meeting number 11. And we're going to start with a roll call.
President Osterling?
Here.
Vice President Hillsman?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Chen Lao?
She was here.
Here.
Dr. Fellow?
Here.
I'm here.
Thank you. Mr. Martin? Here. Ms. Wah?
Here.
Mr. Sarkeesian's absent.
Okay, thank you. We are going to now go to agenda item A2, which is public comment on closed session agenda items. Is there any public comment on closed session?
None.
Hearing none, we are going to recess to a closed session, and in that closed session, we will be discussing Government Code Section 54957, Evaluation of Employee, Superintendent President. Number 2, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Appointment, Director, Human Resources, Director, Career Center. Number 3, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Discipline, Dismissal, Release, 2 employees. Number 4, Government Code Section 54957.6a, Conference with Labor Negotiators. Agency Designated Representative is Robert S. Blazinski, Assistant Superintendent, Vice President, Human Resources. Number 5, Government Code Section 54956.8, Conference with Real Property Negotiators. Property, 4105 North Rosemead Boulevard in Rosemead. The district negotiator for this item is Dr. Michael Bush, Assistant Superintendent, VP, Business and Administrative Services. We now recess to closed session. We have a unique meeting format tonight, so just give us a few minutes so we can get set up properly for that, and then we'll get underway. So this will take about 2 to 5 minutes, and then we'll get started. Sorry for the delay. We are going to reconvene this meeting. This is the regular business meeting number 11, Wednesday, March 18th, 2020, for the Pasadena Area Community College District. And we're going to start off with the roll call as usual. However, prior to the roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that at least a portion of this Board of Trustees meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953 as amended by Governor Gavin Newsom in Executive Order N-25-20 dated March 12th of this year, in that Trustee Hoyt Hillsman is at his personal residence and Trustee Chen is at her personal residence. Both Trustees Hillsman and Chen are participating by speakerphone. Mr. Clerk, it would now be appropriate for you to conduct roll call.
President Osterling?
Here.
Mr. Hillsman?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Here.
Dr. Fellow?
Here.
Mr. Martin? Here. Ms. Wah?
Here.
Mr. Sarkeesian?
Here.
Okay. I would now like to request that Trustee Hillsman respond to the following questions. Number 1, Trustee Hillsman, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can, Trustee Osterling.
Okay, thank you. Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end up until now, which is just the roll call so far?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Hillsman. Next, I would like to request that Trustee Chen respond to the same questions. Trustee Chen can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end up until now? I did not hear your answer. Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end up until
Yes.
now? Okay, great. Thank you. Do you
Yes.
have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Okay, next, I would now like to ask that any member of the Board of Trustees speak up at this time if such trustee has not been able to clearly hear either Trustee Hillsman or Trustee Chen All right, very good. Okay. Pardon me, I lost my place here. Just hang on one second. Okay. Hearing no comment, the record shall reflect that all trustees present have indicated that they were able to hear both Trustee Hillsman and Trustee Chen clearly. I would next like to ask Trustee Hillsman whether he has been able to hear Trustee Chen
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. I would like next to ask Trustee Chen whether she has been able to hear Trustee Hillsman.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. I would next request that any trustee, including Trustees Hillsman and Chen speak up at this time if such trustee has any reason to believe, based on voice recognition or otherwise, that those persons representing themselves to be either Trustee Hillsman or Chen are not truly so. Speak now or hold your peace forever. Hearing no comment, the record should reflect that no trustee has expressed doubt that Trustees Hillsman and Chen are the parties participating by teleconference with trustees here. I would now like to advise the trustees and the public that any votes taken during the teleconference portion of this meeting must be taken by roll call, and I will handle that as we go along. Okay, with those formalities aside, we are obviously in unusual times here, and that's what it takes to legally and properly conduct a meeting when we have trustees calling in by phone. And actually, we would like to thank Governor Newsom for and our assembly for providing accommodations for these meetings and others so we can meet in this fashion and still properly comply with the Brown Act. Okay, here we go. Our next agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance. And would it be possible for me to have Trustee Hillsman lead the pledge on his last meeting? Is that okay? Trustee Hillsman?
I'd be delighted and proud.
Okay.
Does he know where to turn?
If you'll rise, put your hands over your heart, and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Thank you, Trustee Hillsman.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next, we have the approval and reordering of any of agenda items. Is there any motions to reorder any agenda items?
Trustee Osterling, I would like to remove item I-10, which is a nomination for Classified Employee of the Year because the Classified Senate did not nominate someone, so we do not have that item.
Okay, thank you. And can you remind me of that?
I-10.
I-10. Can you remind me of that when we get there?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda with the edited version.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Student trustee.
Aye.
Okay, and fellow trustees, we're going to do this all night via roll call, so Alex, take it away. Aye.
Mr. Hillsman.
Aye.
Ms. Brown.
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao.
Aye.
Dr. Fellow.
Here. Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Ms. Wah.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have introductions and recognitions, and for this, Superintendent Androgenis, can you join me at a safe social distance over at the
Absolutely.
lectern?
What's your back?
We have an excellent presence tonight from the police, members of the police force. I hope the rest of the campus is safe. Thank you for coming.
I hope so too.
We have some accommodations for members of our police force, and I'm going to read this into the record. This is the Pasadena Area Community College District Certificate of Commendation for his outstanding performance and heroic life-saving actions on February 24th, 2020 at the Pasadena City College, Colorado campus. The Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District hereby honor Leroy Avington. Your actions reflect the highest standards of conduct for law enforcement profession and bring credit to the Pasadena City College Police Department. And this commendation is signed by the President of the Board and Superintendent Androgenis, as well as the Chief of Police. And Leroy, if you could come up here as well as Chief Munchin, please.
Oh, let's watch that proximity there.
Can you get us in? Actually, yes. There we go. Congratulations.
Yeah, Thank you. Officer Evington, hang on here. We also have a special pin. Thank you. Normally, I'd shake your hands, and unfortunately, I can't, sir. But thank you for your heroic work. Steve, stay up here. Next, and I'll read this again in its entirety. Pasadena Area Community College District Certificate of Commendation for his outstanding performance in heroic life-saving actions on Feb 24, 2020 at the Pasadena City College, Colorado campus. The Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District do hereby honor Ruben Ortiz. Your actions reflect the highest standard of conduct for the law enforcement profession and bring credit to the Pasadena City College Police Department. And that's signed by our board president, superintendent, and chief Manchin. Please come on up, Officer Ortiz.
The microbiologist over there is don't touch.
Can we get the police chief and both officers up here? Come on up. Yeah, oops. Officer Ortiz, you also, this pen is for you. Thank you.
Let's hear what you got to say.
Chief Manchin, can you tell us about these proceedings? What led to this?
As a date specified, we had a student, well, non-student, visiting our campus, and that student overdosed in our library. The person he was with shouted for help, at which time officers were dispatched to the call. These two officers were in the area, ran over to assist. When they got there, the person was slumped over in a bathroom stall, unconscious, not breathing. Officers then performed rescue compressions on the person. They revived the person until paramedics came back, came to assist, at which time I took approximately 3 shots of Narcan to get the person up and going and moving. So if it wasn't for the quick actions for these 2 officers keeping the person alive until paramedics came to revive him, it would have been a tragedy. So their quick thinking, their training, and their discipline really shone through that day. Furthermore, what I'm very proud of is these 2 officers are PCC alumni people.
Yay.
They came up the ranks as cadets. They were with the cadet program. They went to the police academy, and we were very fortunate to retain their services as police officers to serve and continue to serve our campus community. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief. And officers, thank you for your fast action in saving someone's life and taking all the training necessary to be able to achieve that. Thank you again. Okay, we have another introduction and recognition, and I'm going to stay here. Normally, I would head over to the side dais, but this is for our fellow trustee Hoyt Hillsman. And Hoyt, these are unusual times, and I sure wish that you were here to receive this in person, so we'll do the best that we can by teleconference. This is a resolution by the Pasadena Area Community College District in recognition of the service of Hoyt R. Hillsman to the Board of Trustees. And I'm going to read this. whereas Hoyt R. Hillsman was elected to the Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District in 2015, and whereas Mr. Hillsman has served the board with distinction in a number of formal and informal leadership roles, including as a voting member of the KPCC Oversight Subcommittee and Accreditation Board Policy Review Subcommittee, as a chair of the Legislative Advocacy Subcommittee, and whereas Mr. Hillsman's most recent service as Vice President of the Board has come at a time of phenomenal achievement for the college, including its recognition as the top transfer institution in California to state universities, and whereas the PCC Foundation has benefited greatly from Mr. Hillsman's service as board liaison, drawing on his deep connections in our region and his strategic vision for the PCC Foundation's philanthropic efforts, and whereas Mr. Hillsman was an integral part of the Foundation's exceptional capital campaign efforts, which raised more than $16 million in support of the college, and whereas Mr. Hillsman's advocacy for the college, its students, and our system has taken him to Sacramento and Washington, D.C., where he has spoken passionately about issues of concern to our community. And whereas with his experience in the classroom at PCC and UCLA, Mr. Hillsman's commitment to education has gone beyond his elected service. And whereas his calm demeanor, sharp sense of humor, and keen intellect have distinguished Mr. Hillsman among his peers on the board, and whereas Mr. Hillsman will remain a trusted friend and valued colleague for everyone at PCC, including the Board of Trustees, and whereas the Board of Trustees wishes Mr. Hillsman and his wife, the painter, Nancy K. Turner, all the best as they begin the next chapter of their lives. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees at the Pasadena Area Community College District commends Hoyt R. Hillsman for his commitment, passion, and service to our students and our college, and this is passed and adopted this March 18th, 2020, and it's signed, Hoyt, by all of your fellow trustees as well as Superintendent Androgenis. And I wanted to read all of that out. It's a lengthy proclamation because, Hoyt, you have been incredibly dedicated in your service to PCC above and beyond the basic job of being a trustee, and I personally benefited from your dedication and service to PCC, and you served with distinction, and you will be missed. And I wish you could be here to receive this in person. We are in unusual times.
Well, I thank you, Jim. I really appreciate that. I don't think I could have done better if I'd written that myself.
Yeah.
So it's been a great honor to serve with each and every one of you on the Board of Trustees for the past 5 years, and it's really gone past quickly. I really am proud of the accomplishments of all of us on the board. From when we look back 4 or 5 or 6 years to where PCC was, we've really made tremendous progress. I'm particularly delighted that I was able to participate in the hiring of our new superintendent president, who's not only become a great colleague and a terrific president, but also a dear friend. And I can say that as well for all of my colleagues. We disagree occasionally on this or that, but we really do have a collegial atmosphere that I think is really serves well for the college, because think of how bad if we didn't have that. So we're very lucky in that regard. When I was first elected, please interrupt me if I go on too long, because I know you're going for a record of a short meeting tonight. And I believe the record is about 41 minutes, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah, that's
that's
out.
gone.
Yeah, that's out of the question already.
That's out the window.
Carry on, Hoyt.
Well, so I'll speak for 10 or 15 more minutes. No, seriously. In any case, when I was first elected, didn't quite know what to expect, and I certainly found out quickly. But what was most impressive for me was after I'd been elected and I walked on the campus and I looked around at our students, all 28,000 of them who come ambitious, first-generation students, just the kind of people that really reflect the greatness of our country and our city. And I think that we're offering such an opportunity for them. And as I've come to know the staff, I realize how dedicated, and the faculty, I realize how dedicated they are to providing opportunity for these students. Two of the things that are coming up that I've been particularly interested in, and I hope to work on, but I will certainly continue any commitment I can, is the funding of the college through a bond to provide for some needed infrastructure and to get us going into the 21st century. The other is our workforce development programs, which I know my colleague Linda Waugh and others are really dedicated to, as well as President Androgenis. I think that we have a ways to go on that. There's a fair amount of, bureaucratic challenges, but I think we can overcome those. I also have been really impressed, and this was one of the hardest lessons I learned, was that the Board of Trustees has a very particular role as policymakers, and it's a fine line for us between policy and overstepping our bounds, and I think we've handled that very well as a group. There's always the push and pull, but I'm confident with our new president and our terrific trustees that we'll continue on an upward path. So thank you so much for the commendation. I deeply appreciate it. I'm going to miss you all, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm already going to be involved in some foundation work. So I wish you Godspeed and good luck. And, fingers crossed, Semper Gumby on this crisis that we face.
Hoyt, thank you again. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. This is item 6, public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have any public comment, Trustee?
Let's,
Excuse me, John, may I say a few words about my mentor on the board?
Trustee Chen Lao, if we could, the opportunity for all of the trustees to do that will be during their time at the end of the meeting, if we could.
Okay, that's
All right,
fine.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandra.
Don't forget anything, Sandra.
I won't.
so I have
It's just
one.
going to be longer.
Alex, did you say you have one?
I have 5 that came in remotely that I'll read, but you should go first, and then I'll read the 5 that came in.
Great. So let me begin by, are we going to be able to have a timer here? So, first of all, is Alex Shaganaka available? I don't see Alex, do I?
Okay.
Good. So,
Do you want to
I
just
will
read
read.
it out on behalf?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and read our protocol.
Do you want to start the timer?
Is it?
I'm just kidding.
So our board protocol for responding to public comment on non-agenda items. 1, the board president thanks the speakers and acknowledges their freedom to speak to the board. And 2, the Brown Act prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. So, Alex, I think Alex said he had some written ones.
5 comments that I'll read. The first comes from Brian Gonzalez, who's a PCC student. Hello, may you please consider having the Learning Assistance Center open or computer lab as long as people are PCC students and are being productive. You can limit the certain amount of people to, say, 10 per computer lab so people can be spread out and not crowded. Perhaps a registration form to reserve a spot is posted online and must be submitted with good reason. The libraries and Starbucks are closed, so I don't really got nowhere to go. I called Spectrum, but had an automated voice tell me call another day because too many students were calling at once. If this is not feasible, may I get referred to any quiet spaces with internet that someone may be aware of in the Pasadena area to sustain focus on assignments? Thank you. The next one is from an anonymous student. Hello, I am a student at PCC. In the midst of a state of emergency, I, along with many other students, are facing additional stress from faculty intentionally increasing the difficulty of their exams as the exams are now online. We should not be subjected to harder exams under the conditions that we are not in control of. This promotes academia before wellness and creates an unhealthy amount of additional stress on PCC's students, as if they are not already stressed from the virus and the quick change to an online teaching format. How will PCC ensure that students are not unfairly subjected to harder exams now that the testing format is online? Who can we talk to about issues regarding this? The third one is from Jonathan Perez. To the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and administrators, I would ask the board what is their plan for student workers, as we were told not to report to work during the COVID-19 outbreak. And even though we are students first, we depend on that extra income to get by. I could understand if they gave us an advance notice, but the deans told us not to report the next day, and since we work directly with our fellow students, we can't do any other type of work, especially those who work in the front lines of the offices. Glendale Community College and Santa Monica College have not forgotten about their student workers, and they will be paid for any time missed due to this outbreak. I would like to know what PCC will do for their students during this time of uncertainty. Thank you, John. The fourth is an anonymous student. To members of the board and the greater community, I am a student in the registered nursing program here at Pasadena City College. I would like to take this time to thank Dr. Androgenis, the administration, and staff for their fast and thorough response during this unprecedented change as we move to remote learning. They have done so much to center the needs of students in their decision-making, and I am grateful. The nursing department was initially exempted from remote instruction. An inspirational letter from the director of the nursing department was circulated to staff and nursing students. The letter reads, in part, "Nurses care for sick people. Nurses are there in hospitals. Nurses are there in war zones. Nurses are there in disasters. Nurses stand ready to help broken, contagious, even violent people who are ill. This is what we do and who we are." As inspiring as these words are, they also come from a place of privilege. Nursing students are not registered nurses. We do not all have nurses' salaries and nurses' health benefits. Indeed, many of us survive on financial assistance and dismal, if any, healthcare benefits. Some of us are unhoused, living in our cars as we still manage to excel in school. Some of us are food insecure. Some of us are parents with children at home right now as schools shut down. Some of us may now be self-isolating in a house with domestic violence, sequestered with our abusers. Some of us do not have access to technology, and the nursing department didn't even bother to survey us on if we would need support with computer lending or Wi-Fi access, although a survey went out through many other academic departments. The nursing department has a unique set of requirements that probably cannot be fulfilled during this pandemic, including mandatory clinical rotations for students. I understand that my education may not be able to go remote in this aspect, and it might set me back by a semester. I think this is a choice that must be made, must be adhered to. With everything that students are facing right now, that we all are facing, the choice of whether or not to put our communities, our elders, our children, and ourselves at risk should not be a choice we have to make. Our clinicals have been stopped as of today, March 18th, 2020. I urge the board and the administration to stand by this decision. Thank you for your time, an anonymous nursing student. And the last comment reads, "Dear members of the board, I am in the nursing program and wanted to thank you for working swiftly to ensure student safety. I am conflicted because even though I want to finish the program on time, I am also worried about public health. I help take care of my grandparents, both of whom are over 85, and live with my parents who have pre-existing health conditions that compromise their immune systems. I also did not have health insurance. As nursing students, we are learning the skills necessary for helping others in a clinical setting. However, we are also observers using the hospital's personal protective equipment while personally paying for meals, parking, and transportation. Many of us are in difficult financial and familial situations due to the pandemic. Even though nursing has an important role in this pandemic, nursing students are not nurses. We are members of the general public. It may be more important for us to follow CDC protocols and self-isolate to prevent the further spread of COVID-19 and to ensure health care for those who are most vulnerable. Thank you for your support during these unprecedented times. An anonymous nursing student."
Thank you, Alex.
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is agenda item number 7, and that is to approve the minutes for our last regular business meeting, number 9, which was held on Feb 19th, 2020. Do I hear
Move
a motion?
approval?
Motion to approve.
Moved and seconded. Student trustee,
Aye.
roll call.
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Let's call that an abstention for the moment,
Dr.
but we'll
Fellow?
ask again.
Here. Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Here. Aye.
Ms. Wah?
Let's try Ms. Chen Lao again.
Aye.
Okay. Motion. Thank you, Sandra. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're on to agenda item number 8. Approve the minutes for our special meeting, number 10, which was held on March 9th, 2020. Do I hear a motion?
Move approval.
Moved and seconded. Student trustee, I think you did not attend that meeting,
No.
so we'll have you abstain. Roll call, please, Alex.
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Aye.
Mr. Fellow?
Aye.
Mr. Martin? Ms. Wah?
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Agenda item number 9, board committees reporting out. Do we have any board committees reporting out today? Trustee Martin, take it away.
So the facility committee met and had some discussions on potential ways to help fund the facility master plan. We had an update on the Serafian building, which is we hope on its last fact check at DSA. It'll be our recommendation under future agenda items that we have a special study session sometime between April and May, where the full board can have the benefit the committees had to discuss the facility master plan and some potential ways that we could fund the project moving forward.
Okay, is that the conclusion of your report?
That is.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other board committees reporting out tonight? Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the consent calendar items. And we're going to do this as we did it under the new protocol. We're going to approve all of the consent calendar items en masse unless there's any motion by a trustee to pull out any consent calendar item for separate deliberation. Here,
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve consent items E1 through G17.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, and this one the student trustee does vote on.
Aye.
And Alex, roll call for the trustees, please.
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Aye.
Dr. Fellow?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Wah?
Why do you say aye?
Aw.
Okay, I think we had an extra vote in there.
Yeah.
Okay, that was, motion carries unanimously +1. Okay, next we have the last remaining consent calendar item, which is personnel. And do I hear a motion for the personnel consent calendar items, which is H2 to H4?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please. Alex?
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Aye.
Dr. Fellow?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Wah?
Okay, motion carries unanimously. And we are now going to move on to agenda item I, which is action items recommended for board approval. And the first is to adopt resolution number 641, the intent to declare emergency conditions exist at Pasadena City College. Superintendent Androgenis, do you have anything to report on this before we vote?
I think the reason that this is important is because in this particular case, it confirms or affirms a statement that I made on Saturday, a declaration I made in terms of declaring an emergency that was in keeping with what was happening across the state. And what that did was allow us to start all kinds of things in place. And in the event that there are things that need to be backfilled with federal emergency funding or what have you, this kind of declaration needs to have been made officially. So what this does is it not only affirms this decision, but it also provides me with that authority going forward so that if we don't have a board meeting on the horizon, that I'm able to take action.
I move approval.
Okay, moved and seconded, and any discussion, trustees?
I promise
Yes,
to use it
I
wisely.
just would like,
Trustee Hillsman, go ahead, please.
okay, I just wanted to commend Dr. Jonas and her staff for the excellent work that I've seen, albeit from afar, of handling this crisis, getting ahead of it, keeping us informed, being transparent, going to the faculty and the governance groups and the community. So, you know, I said over and over again, we made a great choice in our president, and I think her support, administrative staff, they've really done yeoman work. So they deserve our gratitude and our congratulations.
Thank you. I can't agree with you more because I have an amazing team, and that's why we were able to just jump into action because we've got it all going on here.
Yeah. I would, in an effort to keep the meeting short, I would just simply say ditto. What Dr. Indrogiannis, what you and your staff have done in a short period of time in a very fluid situation with constantly adjusting as the situation changes has been awesome and more awesomer. and I can't say enough good things about how quickly you've pivoted over to online education, and thank you to you and the entire administration and those that aren't here as well for being flexible and creative and also remaining calm in very unprecedented circumstances.
And the actions of the faculty have a lot to do with that because they've really picked up and gone with it. We're very fortunate.
Thank you to everybody. So we have a
I think
motion.
there should be I think there ought to be a Semper Gumby
Semper
banner
Gumby.
hung over the
Yeah.
administrative building, because I think that's a great mantra going forward. Thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, yes. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'll call for a vote. And student trustee,
Aye.
roll call, please.
Mr. Osterling,
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman,
Aye.
Ms. Brown,
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao,
Aye.
Dr. Fellow,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Watt.
Motion carries unanimously. We're on to agenda item number I2. This is to adopt resolution number 640 in commemoration of the 105th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, April 2020. And before we vote on this item, I believe we have some public comment. And Alex, take it away, please.
This comment comes from Shohig Yepremian, who I believe is chair of the Armenian National Committee of America, Pasadena chapter. Dear PCC President Osterling, Board of Trustees, Dr. Indrogiannis, Armenian National Committee of America, Pasadena chapter would like to thank PCC Board of Trustees and staff for including the Armenian Genocide Resolution on your March 18th, 2020 agenda. It is unfortunate that given the current health concerns and precautions set by PCC, our ANCA local chapter board members, ANCA Western Region board members, and others from the community cannot attend the scheduled meeting to speak on the subject. The Armenian Genocide Resolution, as forwarded to you all, is the recently amended 2020 version, which includes language on the 2019 U.S. House of Representatives adoption of House Resolution 296 and Senate adoption of Senate Resolution 150, which officially reaffirmed the U.S. record on the Armenian Genocide. The Armenian National Committee of America urges the PCC Board of Trustees to adopt this resolution today. The ANCA Pasadena chapter would like to extend its gratitude to President Androgenis and PCC Board of Trustees for standing in solidarity with the Armenian American community in recognizing the Armenian Genocide. We wish everyone good health as our communities and institutions face these critical challenges. The second statement comes from the Armenian Students Association. Dear Pasadena City College Board of Trustees and community, on behalf of the Armenian Students Association of PCC and the Armenian American Residents of Pasadena, I would like to thank the Pasadena City College Board of Trustees for recognizing the Armenian Genocide. Many of us planned to be on campus to say these words openly and publicly. However, due to the global pandemic, we felt it wasn't appropriate to do so. Regardless, we wanted to be sure to acknowledge the moment. The atrocities that took place over 100 years ago sparked a flame that still burns very bright in all of us as we continue to seek justice and recognition for the crimes committed against our ancestors. Your decision to pass this resolution that recognizes the Armenian Genocide places Armenians one step closer to our goal. Every Armenian family has their own story. Mine is of the Musa Dag resistance of 1915. Known as one of the most illustrious pages in Armenian history, the 40-day resistance of Musa Dag is a story of many heroes, including women, who stood out for their bravery. My great-great-grandmother, Manushak Manukian, was only 19 years old when the atrocities began. At night, Manushak would make her way down to the village to get food from gardens and cellars after fighting tirelessly against the enemy during the daytime. When the Ottoman Turks decided to desecrate the church, Manushak spent 2 days in hiding, entered the monastery, and gathered all the crosses and religious icons. She then took them to the mountains and thus raised the morale of her fellow fighters. Her next trip down was not as successful, though, as the enemy awaited her arrival. She was then captured and tortured ruthlessly, having her ears slit and skewers driven through her abdomen. Despite her being left to die with her wounds, Manushak managed to make her way back up the mountain and continue on the fight. According to my grandmother, Manushak was a protective woman with a strict look, yet very tender soul. Together with her only daughter's family, Manushak immigrated to Soviet Armenia from the Armenian village of Anjar in Lebanon, where she led a life full of hardships but also triumphs. I am a descendant of Manushak Manukian, who had just one dream at the age of 19. She wanted to live. And here I am, along with my fellow brothers and sisters, living and thriving at PCC. Each one of us in the ASA has a goal to be successful in honor of the sacrifices our forefathers and mothers like Manushak made. That fire that burned in Manushak lives in the Armenian diaspora and here at PCC. Thank you for perpetuating our commitment to remembering the past and celebrating our community's many accomplishments. Sincerely, Michael Stambulian, publicist of the Armenian Students Association.
Mr. President, I'd like to just mention that one of the benefits of being on the Pasadena City College Board for me has been meeting some of these Armenian families through the years and spending time with them. And they've taken me to the memorial. We've spent days together there, hours together. And I've just come to have great respect for them. They're very serious about this type of resolution. And they're just a wonderful group of people. And I'd like to make a motion to approve this resolution number 640.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
It's been moved in second. Is there any further discussion, trustees? Okay. Well, we had intended to have the Armenian Student Associations and ANCA attend this meeting in support of this resolution, as they typically do, and unfortunately, due to the pandemic, that isn't possible. So in lieu of that, I've asked our student trustee, Alex Sarkissian, to read the resolution into the record. Will you be so kind as to do that, Alex?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to.
Thank you, sir.
If it's all right, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I understand there's a lot to get done at this meeting. But yeah, so resolution number 640 for the Pasadena Area Community College District in commemoration of the 105th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide in April 2020. Whereas Armenians have resided in Asia Minor and the Caucasus for approximately 4 millennia and have had a long and rich history in the region, including the establishment of many kingdoms and also the establishment of the Armenian Empire during the 1st century BC. And whereas the Armenian people were subjects of a systematic and premeditated genocidal campaign in their ancestral homeland, which began on April 24th, 1915, at the hands of the Ottoman Turkish government from 1915 through 1919, and which continued at the hands of the Kemalist government of the Republic of Turkey from 1920 through 1923, whereby 1.5 million Armenian men, women, and children met their deaths in an effort to annihilate the Armenian nation in the first modern genocide. while thousands of surviving Armenians were forcibly converted and Islamized, and hundreds of thousands more were subjected to ethnic cleansing during the period of the modern Republic of Turkey from 1924 through 1937. And going towards the latter of the resolution, whereas the Pasadena Area Community College District has a significant Armenian student population, many of whom have family members who experience firsthand the horror and evil of the Armenian genocide and the ongoing denial of the Armenian genocide. And whereas by recognizing and consistently remembering the Armenian genocide and other genocides, we help protect cultural and historic memory and ensure that similar atrocities do not occur again. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District hereby designates the month of April 2020 as a month of the commemoration of the 105th of the Armenian genocide of 1915. And personally, on the subject, I know we've also been, PC has been very lucky to have a slew of Armenian student trustees, which I'm glad to continue part of that legacy, even though Zainab was from Lebanon. Personally, both of my mother is from Lebanon and my dad is from Tehran, and my mom's great-grandmother was a survivor of the genocide, and it's something that the protests and involvement is something my family has always been a part of, and I'm really grateful to see recognition for it. So thank you.
Alex, thank you for reading that out, and I'm glad you mentioned the Armenian American students have been particularly active in student government, and you were stepping into big shoes that you had to fill behind Nune Garipian and Emily Ekshin, and you've done an outstanding job, and thank you for reading that into the record. So we have a motion and a second. Student trustee?
Aye.
And roll call, please, Alex.
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Or your child.
Aye.
Dr. Fellow?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Wah?
Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're going to move on to agenda item I3. This is nominations for California Community College Trustees. That's called the CCCT Board. Trustee Wah, do you have any input on this item?
So, President Osterling, I would like to recommend that we defer this item until April. The trustees' names just got out a few weeks ago. They're just starting to campaign. I believe that there'll be more, we'll see more campaign literature from some of the other candidates, so I'd like to wait until April.
Okay, so we would move to defer this item. And when is our vote actually due?
April 25th.
Okay, so we can get this in before our next meeting.
Right.
Yes, our
at
next meeting's on April 15th, so we have plenty of time.
Okay, does that meet with the satisfaction of all of the trustees? Why don't you turn that into a motion?
So I would like to move to defer this item until the April 15th meeting of the board.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to defer this agenda item 3 to next month's regular business meeting. Student trustee.
Aye.
Roll call, please. Alex.
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Aye.
I have
Dr.
no
Fellow?
internet.
Aye.
Will you tell them my internet is down?
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Wah?
I also lost Wi-Fi connection to my
There you go.
laptop, so I'm trying to get technical
As
help.
did Trustee Brown.
I was trying to follow the resolution on the genocide, and I couldn't get my laptop up. So the PCC campus one we normally are on shuts down at 8.
It hiccuped over here, too.
So
Ms. Wah?
Aye.
That's 7.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. That'll be deferred until next month. Thank you, Trustee Wah. Agenda item I4 is dual enrollment memorandum of understanding with San Marino Unified School District.
Congratulations.
Are you
I
happy,
missed something
Trustee
there.
Wah?
I
you
am
happy?
ecstatic. This has been a 10-year effort, and it has taken a village to move it. So thank you to all of to President Androgenis, to all of the executive office who helped move this, and to the San Marino board. So it was quite a feat, but I think, you know, we've heard a resounding sound of joy throughout the community from the board, and I know San Marino administration will move very quickly to identify dual enrollment courses and pathways that will benefit our students.
Thank you, Trustee Waugh. I see Terry Juni, Dr. Juni, up at the lectern, so fire away, sir.
I'm just here if anyone has any questions.
Well, and really, he and his folks, Isela, Osageda, you all have done amazing work.
And what I'll just add to that is, so now we have 4, if you approve this tonight, and South Pasadena, Arcadia, and El Monte are all on the horizon. So it will not be too far off that we will have an agreement with every K-12 district in our district. So.
Yeah, baby.
Very good.
And I had a chance to hear Dr. Osegueda's presentation to South Pasadena board. They are also ecstatic about moving this forward, and she did a really nice job. So thank you very much for doing this. So I would like to move approval.
Okay. It moved and seconded, and Trustee Brown, you're next.
Well, I just wanted to say that we thought PSD was hard, huh? But hallelujah, we all fell right in place. And it's good to see that each district finally came on board. I think this is very, very good for our students. I was reading a letter, and I was so hurt when I read it about PCC taking advantage of, financial, just the letter. But, for us to truly understand the great thing that our students, the benefit that we offer for these students is just unreal. And I am so proud to see now San Marino fell right in place. Congratulations.
After
Yes.
10 years, it only took 10 years.
Well, I took 8, so.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dr. Juni, we have 8 feeder schools, districts into PCC, am I correct? High schools?
I believe so.
Okay.
'Cause we
And
have-
my question is simple. Of those 8, how many dual enrollment agreements do we now have?
This is the 4th.
Number 4.
Yes.
And then you mentioned 3 more
So
are,
South Pasadena, Arcadia, and so South Pasadena, it will be very soon.
Okay.
And then Arcadia, actually, which we thought was going to be a holdout for quite a while, they've reached out to us and they're interested as well.
about time,
And that will be soon as well. And then we've been in conversations with El Monte, and so that will be soon. El Monte is more complicated because some of their high schools are in the Rio Hondo district and some are in ours, and so.
understood. So that would be 7.
Yeah, I
and-
don't know.
I
who
thought
the
we had
8th
8.
is.
Did you
but-
include Temple City? Have we done?
Yes, I did. So we have, right now, with your approval of this one, we have it with Pasadena Unified, La Cañada Unified, Temple City, and San Marino. And I had South Pass, Arcadia, and El Monte, so.
Yeah, I think, what I'm thinking is that last summer I had lunch with all of the superintendents, but I threw in an extra. I had lunch with the Duarte superintendent.
Yeah,
and
they.
So it-
That's why I'm thinking
have
of 8.
7.
It's really
Well,
7.
Duarte is interested, but the only
They're
way
in
we can
citrus, yeah.
be in
Yeah.
Duarte is, so actually Duarte's interested as well as Eagle Rock, but the only way we can do it there is if their actual community colleges allowed us, and
Allowed us,
I
yeah.
don't think
Not
that
I don't think
see that
Citrus is
Glendale
going to
and
let that
Citrus are
happen.
going to do that.
Alhambra is interested too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
So we have 4 out of 7 districts.
That's correct.
Right now, if we approve this tonight.
That's correct.
Trustee Brown again.
So I'm just wondering is there a way we could hold Dr. Juni until all of these are on board? No release until then?
I'm working on that. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Trustee vote. No further discussion. Moved and seconded. Trustee vote.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Aye.
Dr.
And
Fellow?
congratulations.
Aye.
Mr. Martin? Ms. Wah?
Okay, motion carries unanimously. We're moving on to agenda item number 5, which is to approve and adopt the 2020-2021 academic calendar. Dr. Junie?
So I believe you all have this in front of you somewhere. So you thought dual enrollment agreements were difficult. That's right. So you all approved the fall side of this calendar a short while ago. I don't remember if it was the last board meeting or the board meeting before. And so what I'm really bringing to you is the January through July side of this calendar. And just real quick to walk through it, it is pretty much what we've been doing since we brought winter back. And so there is a winter intersession that starts on January 6th and ends on February 10th. That is followed by the spring semester starting on the 16th and ending on June 14th. And then indicated in there is the start of the of the 2021 summer, which is the 21st. All the details of the summer aren't here because the summer intersession actually goes over. So it's in June, July, and August, and so you're just really, from that standpoint, approving the first day of summer, and then in July it has the last day of the 6-week summer. We also will be doing an 8-week summer that will go into August, and there will probably be other variations. Our summer programs are kind of a mixture of things depending on the program, whether they're 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and some of our health science ones actually have 10-week classes as well. And then just color coding in pink, the college is closed. In green, the college is open, but there are no classes in session. And then in yellow is finals week during the spring session. So if there are any questions about this, I will gladly answer them. Actually, the one other thing I should say is you did, as I said, approved the June through December 2020 side. We did update it, and you can see that September 22nd, October 19th, October 23rd are all, and November 3rd are all underlined. A new state law came into effect shortly after we had brought that side to the board that requires we show on our calendar various dates that have to do with elections. And so basically we went ahead and added those because we're required by law to do so.
So I'm getting real technical here. Should we just approve the entire calendar?
That would probably be a good idea.
Be best,
Okay.
yes.
So we're going to, even though we approved the first half previously, we're going to do a do-over, so to speak.
Move to approve.
Moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. And any further discussion? Alex, go ahead.
I would just like to comment that by myself and Dion both attended the calendar meeting where the second half was being determined, how much we appreciate these 4 days off on June 14, 2021. Both Dion and myself, our students for the past 3 more years, have had back-to-back winter, summer, fall sessions, and sometimes having just a 1-day break is just too little. So we really, really appreciate this and hope that these are continued in the future. But with that, aye.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that, and thank you for taking the student input into account for the calendar. Alex, you voted?
Yes.
Okay, and roll call, please.
Mr. Osterling?
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lao?
Aye.
Dr. Fellow?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Wah?
Trustee Wah, the vote is up to you. Okay, motion carries unanimously, and just to be clear for the record, we approved the entire year calendar. Okay, moving on to agenda item I-6. This is the educational master plan. Do we have a presentation on this?
We do. We have the fabulous Crystal Colross to present.
Take it away, Crystal.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here tonight. I'm hoping the members at the meeting tonight have a version in front of you. This is the hot off the press one that we produced today. So it's got a couple of slight changes from what you saw in your packet, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So I just want to kind of quickly walk you through the process for developing the Educational Master Plan. First, we reviewed and revised the mission statement. We completed an environmental scan. We established the Vision for Success local goals. We developed strategies for those goals. We derived the institutional priorities, and then we talked to our constituents around campus and asked them to provide input on the plan. So just a quick reminder that we were very focused in this plan to distinguish between goals and strategies. The first thing we did was we developed the goals, which are our local Vision for Success goals. And a reminder that goals need to be SMART, specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, and time-bound. And they are what anchor your strategic plan. And then we develop the strategies, which are your initiatives or your approaches created to achieve the goal. Strategies move you from the what to the how. Goals may and probably should have multiple strategies, which you see in this document, and strategies will be the bulk of any strategic plan. So then we took the opportunity to do what we looked at our mission statement, and from the mission statement, we kind of like thought, okay, so let's categorize these things, and we developed what we considered our institutional priorities. And that was our equity-minded learning community, our campus engagement and environment, and our customized student and support. And as of tonight, based on Trustee Martin's recommendation, we're moving to the top, academic programs and delivery, and adding the word exceptional.
Is that good, Doctor? Is that good, Trustee Martin?
Very, very pleased.
Awesome.
So these are our institutional priorities: exceptional academic programs and delivery, equity-minded learning community, campus engagement and environment, and customized student support. And this is how we basically arrange the strategies. Then I talked to constituents. We did some reviewing and revising. I did town halls at the various campuses. I went to advisory groups. I went to all the shared governance bodies. We did fun things like gallery walks. We chatted. We talked about what's missing, what needs to be added, what they'd like to see. And then you kind of get to this point in this process where all they're doing are like adding commas or switching a word around, and then you pretty much know you've got the final document, which is what we have before you tonight, the final product, a map for PCC and educational excellence. Any questions?
Trustees, any questions?
Good job.
Yeah.
I'll just add a comment.
Trustee Martin.
I just think it's an exceptional all the way through.
Awesome.
It's succinct and powerful and specific, and I want to just say a big thank you for, sometimes putting the first thing first. In this institution for almost 100 years has not been known for academic programs, but exceptional academic programs, and I'm just thrilled.
Well, then our work here
I
is done.
do have a question.
Sure.
Trustee Chen Lao.
So I recall several meetings back when when this was initially presented, we talked about benchmarks and metrics for measuring progress. Do you have more thoughts on that, or what was that? Do you have plans to incorporate that, or has that been incorporated into this plan?
I think if you, and you're probably not looking at the one I'm looking, but if you look at the Vision for Success local goals, you can see in there we have targets for academic years for each of those goals, and I think that that's what we would consider our benchmarks. The closer we're getting to hitting those targets, then we're reaching our benchmarks.
So the targets were added to this version and not the previous one.
I think I might have just not presented them. They've always been there, but I could be here for hours if I did that. So I think I gave you the abbreviated version, but this is the full document now.
Okay, thank you.
Page 10 for members
Yeah, and
here.
Sandra, you're at a disadvantage here, but we have a handout here for the Educational Master Plan, and the goals that you're seeking are on page 10.
So we'll get you a copy of
Okay.
this one, Trustee Lau.
They were the locally,
Okay.
they were the locally adopted goals that you all adopted last May in time to meet the Chancellor's Office requirement that they be adopted,
Right.
and the benchmarks are there.
Crystal, you could read those out to her. They're without going
That's
through.
fine. I'll just get a copy of I'll just get the version that is presented tonight.
Sure, we can send that to you. We have a digital copy of it.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal. Do we have a
Thank you,
motion on
Crystal.
this yet?
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Trustee vote.
Aye.
Roll call.
Mr. Osterling,
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman,
Aye.
Ms. Brown,
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lau,
Aye.
Dr. Fellow,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Wah.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, everyone. This was amazing, but Crystal really led this, and rock star over there.
Still rocking.
Okay, we are going to move on to agenda item I-7, which is to accept the tentative agreement between the Pasadena Area Community College District and the Pasadena City College California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 777, Bargaining Unit.
She was
Okay.
stretching.
I move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Student trustee.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Go ahead.
Mr. Osterling,
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman,
Aye.
Ms. Brown,
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lau,
Aye.
Dr. Fellow,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Wah.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. We're on to item I-8. Approve the memorandum of understanding between Pasadena Area Community College District and the Pasadena City College California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 777, Bargaining Unit.
Motion to approve.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. This is not a vote for the student trustees, so we'll go directly to the roll call.
Mr. Osterling,
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman,
Aye.
Ms. Brown,
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lau,
Aye.
Dr. Fellow,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Wah.
Motion carries unanimously. We're moving on to item I-9, changes to international application fee. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We're going to go to a vote. Student trustee.
Aye.
Roll call.
Mr. Osterling,
Aye.
Mr. Hillsman,
Aye.
Ms. Brown,
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lau,
Let's keep going. and
Dr. Fellow?
We'll come back to her.
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Wah.
Aye.
Ms. Chen Lau,
For now, we'll call that motion carries with one abstention. Okay. And then we've removed item I-10 from the agenda, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we are going to move on to agenda item J, which is information items. And we're going to start with number 1, which is a career and technical education CTE update. Dr. Juni.
So are you getting tired of me yet tonight?
We're never tired of you, Dr. Journey.
Okay, so a couple of things I'll say before I start. Obviously there's a PowerPoint and you have a hard copy of the PowerPoint in front of you, so you don't have to necessarily follow along with me. I also gave you a couple of other handouts, and so the first one looks like this. And this is out of a very long report that looks at good jobs that pay throughout the nation without a bachelor's degree. And so I just gave you the California part of it. And so I'm not necessarily going to talk about it, but the point of this is that there's a lot of good jobs that are available for students that complete career technical education programs and don't go on to earn a degree. And then I also gave you this handout that looks at the FTS generated from our CTE programs, and so this is more detail to what one of the slides show later on where we're talking about that. And then I gave you this handout that basically has two columns. One says title, the other says award. This is actually a list of all of the degrees and certificates that Pasadena City College offers in career technical education programs. So it's not the whole list of everything we offer, it's just the CTE programs. And then the final document, it's the one that has a blue stripe across the top. And so one of the slides talks about work-based learning opportunities, and so this is just, so I'll refer to this document at that point when I get to that slide. Okay. And I should also give credit, a lot of work done by a number of the CTE deans. Pasadena City College is somewhat unusual because almost every one of my deans is a CTE dean because they have one or more CTE programs. But Dr. Kiotis, who's the dean over BET, Dr. Young, who's the dean over health science, and Lenore Rogax, who's the dean over VAMS, did a lot of work in helping put this presentation together. So hopefully what you'll see is an overview of our CTE programs. I'll give you an update of where we are with various programs, and then show you how they're strategically integrated across the college, and I kind of commented on that from the fact that they're in every division. And then I'm going to highlight some of the successes. We'd be here all night if I told you all of the successes, and then also give some ideas of what we're looking into the future to expand our CTE programs and or grow our CTE programs. So I'm not going to read this. You know, what is career technical education? Basically, these are programs that are usually students earn a certificate as opposed to a degree, and that certificate basically helps them get jobs in areas that don't require a degree. But there are also some degrees in here, and if you look at the list that has the awards, we actually even have quite a few AS degrees that students can earn, but there also are associate degrees for transfer. So it's also possible to start in a CTE program at a community college like Pasadena City College and then transfer to earn a bachelor's in those areas. That opens up other doors for students beyond just having a certificate. Many of the CTE pathways can start in the secondary schools, and so, and in fact, part of what we're doing with our dual enrollment that we talked about earlier is developing pathways with the high schools so students can start in high school and continue on at Pasadena City College, earning various certificates to go on to get work. CTE is more complicated than some non-CTE programs because of all the regulatory bodies that exist at the state level, outside agencies, and we'll touch a little bit on that through this slide. And then also there are CTE programs that exist both on the credit and non-credit side of the house. We're going to focus on credit in this presentation. There are lots of different regulations, as I mentioned, but there's also lots of different funding sources for CTE. And so what I've done in this slide is listed many of those, and some of these exist and then go away. It's actually kind of a good part of CTE is that there are other funds besides our general funds that can help support those. And so that's a good thing. The most recent one on here is the Strong Workforce, where there's quite a bit of money that the state's been putting through the Strong Workforce program that has allowed various regional projects where Pasadena City College partners with other community colleges in the area, and as well as local projects that we can focus on our programs. The last bullet here is the Chancellor's Office for Economic and Workforce Development. That's kind of the overseeing body at the Chancellor's Office that provides oversight and guidance to how all the funds that are listed above can be used, and making sure that we follow all those rules. And so, as I mentioned, a lot of regulatory bodies. And just to give some ideas of that, and I didn't grab as well. So like our cosmetology program has to follow the rules of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. Our nursing program, we hear a lot about that, the Board of Registered Nurses. There's the Bureau of Automotive Repair, and there's the Office of the State Fire Marshal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a lot of different state regulatory agencies that these programs have to follow. And then also many of them have outside accrediting agencies. And so the BRN, for example, is an outside accrediting agency. All of the health science programs have to respond to an outside accrediting agencies. And then there are also licensure and certification outcomes that are monitored. Many of the students, when they graduate from a particular program, they then, before they can go get a job and actually benefit from graduating that program, they have to take a licensure exam. And so again, a lot of monitoring that occurs from that. Ed Code requires that they have advisory committees. So each of our programs do have advisory committees. These are an important part because this is where we get input from industry. And so there's industry members of these advisory committees, as well as academic partners, K through 12, high school, et cetera. So there's a back and forth dialogue about what is the best content of these programs to be sure that our students are ready for various work that is out there. So we have 86 district credit CTE programs. If you look at this list that I gave you, sorry, that's not the one. This one that lists all the degrees and certificates that exist, you'll see there's a lot more than 86. But that's because a program would be like the nursing program. And the nursing program has certificates and degrees that one can earn, the automotive program. And so there are multiple degrees and certificates within each of the programs. And these range from certificates of achievement to associate degrees for transfer. These programs are basically helping students get entry-level employment. There's theoretical knowledge that's part of the instructional aspect, as well as practical hands-on training. We're struggling with that hands-on training right now because as we go to remote learning, it's very difficult to continue allowing our students to do hands-on training because that usually requires face-to-face interactions. As I mentioned already, it also leads in some opportunities for transfer because there are different steps. You can get jobs usually at an entry level with a certificate of achievement. If you get an associate degree, it opens doors that the certificate didn't open. And if you go on and transfer and earn a bachelor's degree, that opens other doors. And so there's a list here: accounting, architecture, business administration, and nursing. I'll just, as a side note, we are currently working on developing partnerships for some of these. And so we have a partnership with Cal State LA in regard to business administration. So our students can actually earn their associate degree for transfer here on the campus at Pasadena City College, and then they can apply to Cal State LA and take the classes for the bachelor's degree here on the campus of Pasadena City College. We're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's with a program with Azusa Pacific, where basically the nursing students will actually be earning both their associate degree and their bachelor's degree at the same time. We're working with the University of Redlands for various similar sorts of programs. And so we're actually trying to develop the ability for our students to earn the associate degree and the bachelor's degree at the same time here on the campus at Pasadena City College. So there's some really cool things that are coming. The enrollments are all increasing, and here I'm not showing you enrollment numbers, I'm showing you FTES numbers. But you can see for these 3 years that the numbers have gone up. It was just a 1.3% increase from 16-17 to 17-18, and it was a 3.5% increase going into the 18-19 year. I would say that probably we would have seen a similar sort of jump going into the 19-20 year, but we probably won't see that because of the impact of the pandemic that we're struggling with right now. 10 of our programs make up the bulk of our CTE program, and so they're listed here in this. And so they basically are produce 51% of the enrollments in FTS generated by our 85, 86 programs, and then the other 49% is spread out over them. So we have some large programs, and we also have some small ones. I think it's important to note that even the small ones lead to significant employment opportunities. You know, one that you've heard about at earlier board meetings is the SLIPA program. It's a very small program, but when students graduate from that, they actually have the opportunity to make good money. And so even the small ones are worth us having. And this is just showing the increase in 9+ CTE unit earners. And so I'll spend a little bit of time on this because this kind of relates to what you just approved in the Educational Master Plan. What you see on the left of this slide basically are some of the aspects of the local vision for success goals, so that we'll increase the number of certificates that are earned. That's one of our goals. 3A, it's like we'll decrease the average number of units that students have to earn, and I'm going to come back to that because you're going to see that the faculty and CTE have been working to decrease the number of units that students need to complete these degrees and certificate. And then from the standpoint of the new student-centered funding formula, besides generating funds for being in class in FTS, we also generate money for students completing 9+ units in CTE, earning a certificate of achievement, as well as getting a job and obtaining a livable wage. And so we get money from the state every time we have a success in any one of those.
Dr. Juni, do you want to take questions as we go?
Sure,
or
questions are
One
fine.
quick question.
Go ahead, Trustee Brown.
I was having a little difficulty understanding what does this FTE year plus that 9? I wasn't sure I understood that. That graph that you have there?
So what the graph is showing is the amount of FTES that's generated by students that earn at least 9 units in a CTE program. And so basically, if a student enrolls in the nursing program and they take somewhere between 2 to 3 classes, they will have 9+ units. The state gives us money for students that do that. That's part of the new student-centered funding formula. And so normally I wouldn't have shown you that sort of thing when we were talking about it, but what that says is students are committing to a program and they're working to complete that program. And the reason I'm pointing that out to you is because we get extra money from the state for every student that does that. And so it's part of the new student-centered funding formula.
So a nursing student, they have their requirement, the regular G or whatever you have to use. So we need to get which classes will be the CE.
So CTE,
right, for nursing.
If you look at, if I were to have given you the whole list of programs rather than just the CTE ones, based on the top code, the state has identified certain programs as being CTE. And so what this is looking at is that subset of programs that qualify for that qualify as career technical education programs, and that's based on the top code. And so I took that out of this. I was going to show you that, but basically there is a top code for accounting. And I guess the one I could focus on is the fourth one down, agriculture, plant science. That's actually a biology program, plant science, but plant science is a CTE top code where biology isn't.
Okay,
And so
I
if a
got it.
student is taking classes to earn the degree in plant science, we get extra funding from the state once they have completed at least 9 units in that program.
I got it, thank you.
So this shows you kind of the breakdown of certificates that students have earned over a 3-year period, starting 16-17 and ending 18-19. It shows you 60-plus unit certificates. And so you see that's the smallest band in 16-17, and it's even smaller in 17-18, and it goes away in 18-19. And then 30-plus unit certificates and 18 to 29 unit certificates. So this is just looking at the various certificates of achievement that we offer and what percentage of those do students earn. Most of them are earning 30-plus units. But what is really significant about this, going back to one of the Vision for Success goals, is to decrease the number of units it takes for a student to complete. And you'll see that the 60-plus units get smaller and smaller, and the reason for that is that faculty have worked to eliminate those large unit certificates. So basically, we were asking students to take classes that they really didn't need. And that's what this says again. This is looking at the ways that we evaluate the various CTE programs: completion, students earning degrees or certificates, educational advancement or transfer. This also is where concurrent enrollment comes in with our high school partners, partnerships with industry, employment of program completers, and wage gain. We also get money from the state if students get a job in the area that they earn their certificate, and the amount of money they earned is a livable wage. And what is a livable wage is broken down by counties in the state of California. And so actually it's harder for us because a livable wage in Los Angeles County is higher than a livable wage in Bakersfield. And so they have to make the livable wage in LA no matter where they get their job. And so we're doing pretty good at that, but that's actually a complicated metric.
Dr. Juni, what is the livable wage for LA County for this measurement purpose?
I can get that for you, but I don't have that I don't have that in the presentation, and I don't have that in my head.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. I'll get that for you. So just emphasizing the important need for partnerships, working with industry to be sure that our programs are developing graduates that can get jobs and have the skills that businesses and industry want. Also, we are working really hard to develop work-based learning activities. These are internships, or an easy one for us to think about, but it's also job shadowing. It's having people come from various industries and talk to our students, and so there's a list of various things that students can do. The handout that I mentioned that I gave you with the blue stripe on it, these are internships and other work-based learning activities. There's a list of 61 of them that have been developed by the staff in our Freeman Center of Career and Student Success. And that center has only been in existence for about a year, and so this list will grow. And I think it's really good to see the work that we've done to increase the number of work-based learning / internship opportunities for our students. And so this is really kind of an important part. We all remember that it's easier to get a job if you actually practice at a job before you graduate. Sure. And it helps you both because of that experience that you get. You can put that on your resume, but in many cases, you go do an internship, and whoever you did that internship with actually likes your performance, and they offer you a job. And so this is a good thing for our students.
Dr. Juni,
and I realized that I didn't finish that sentence, sir.
I'm looking at the chart with the blue band on top, and would you happen to know if you tallied up all of these internships and WBL, work-based learning opportunities, what that number is in total for 2020, and then how that compares to the last year or two. And if you don't have that
I
at
don't
the top
have
of your
that.
head.
I don't have that, but that is a number that we're working on because there's been interest about that. And so I don't have it for you right now. I can get that for you
Okay.
later.
Thank you.
And then Trustee
Trustee
Brown.
Just
Brown.
one quick question,
Sure.
going back to that, the blues chart. I see here, and actually, we've come a long way. I must give you credit for that, and the college. This is actually really good to know. I like the fact that we have identified the different partnerships that we are aligning our career technical students with. However, my question is, when we have here, like, let's say Disney, for instance, Disney College program, what does that 1+ mean? Just one person?
No, that means they have the opportunities for more than one, but they don't. But they don't. For example, if you go down and look at NBC Universal, which is number 13.
When you say more than one what?
Oh, internship.
Okay.
So you'll see under the title, that's a summer internship program. And so they have more than one, but they
Okay.
don't have 5. And so
Okay.
it's a small internship program, but it's not like the number 13 on the list, NBC Universal.
That's
They
what I'm
have
looking at.
15.
Okay.
They have
Okay. All right.
15. If you flip it over, you'll see that number 47, which is also Disney, but it's in the digital media and entertainment portion. Well, actually, those are duplicates, and so I apologize because they have 91, and so Disney actually has a lot of them.
So I've gotten, because this is televised, I'm getting late breaking news on the total number of work-based learning internships for 18-19. It would be 3,200, and we don't know the numbers yet for 19-20. And also on the living wage, here in LA County, it just depends. The living wage depends on how many kids you have. So one adult with 3 children, a living wage would be $48 an hour. Poverty wage would be $12 an hour. And then we have a whole chart. We can send you we can send that link to you, and it tells you every single, adult with 0 children, 1 child, 2 child, 3 children, and you can see there what the living wage range is here in LA County.
Well, so based on that, then, the living wage for our career technical students is not doing too much, because I'm looking here, you said 48 an hour?
Well, that's with 3 kids.
Ooh,
That's with 3 kids.
imagine
That's with 3
one.
kids. So
That's a single parent.
one adult with 0 children, a living wage would be $14.83.
Well,
so-
I have 4 kids.
If you have 4, I don't have that number of kids here.
Okay, but again, I just want
But
to
it will be more than
reiterate.
$48 an hour.
I want
Yes,
to-
it would be more than $48
I want to
an hour.
reiterate that we really are going forward, but in looking at your presentation here, the first thing that jumped out at me and made me a little confused was that I kept getting percentage. And what I would really like to see some numbers, like head counts, like, we had 800 students that blah, 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 and this is the percentage, because that kind of leaves me without knowing really what it is. So I think for our future, it would be nice to see some head counts, and that's what I would like.
Okay, we can do that.
Trustee
But
Watt.
if you look at this slide, it gives you numbers instead of percentages.
Which one?
Okay. Trustee Wadig, you have a question?
Well, I have lots of questions after, but just kind of a
Okay.
comment since we're on this. So I do think the information that, I asked kind of a similar question on item F2, and I got really good stats. And I think that, so I think getting the numbers is really important. The question I have on this internship, work-based learning opportunities, so I misread it also. I thought that these are the actual numbers of interns that we have who are participating, but it's not. It just sounds like it's the number of possibilities.
These are internship / work-based learning opportunities that have been developed by the Freeman Center since we started since they started. It actually isn't a complete list of all our internships, because what we have learned as we've really started to organize the way that we do this is that faculty have been getting their students internships, and what we're trying now to do is to support the faculty that are doing that, but also have it more centralized so it's easier for students to learn about and identify these. And so this is just the list that the Freeman Center produced for me. What I did not do, and I can provide to you, but I have a list from the Dean of Natural Sciences of the many different internships that are available for STEM students, basically. And that list, there are, I will say, somewhere between 300 and 400 different opportunities that exist for science students to do during the summer. And so the total list is much longer than this.
Yeah, so I think it would be helpful for me to also know how many interns are we actually giving that opportunity to? And then that was back to the question I had asked earlier on my Board of Trustees questions is, you know, what is the, so there was like a list at the end of this of our industry partners, but it didn't correlate with what we were actually, where we were placing people. So that's one of the reasons I was asking that question. And I don't know if we could ever, if we
Yeah,
could
the
get that
list at the end of the, are some of our industry partners. It's not the entire list. And so,
yeah, and it didn't actually correlate too well with what we said we were, where we were awarding certificates and where we were
We can
awarding
come up
degrees.
with the information. I think we have an idea of what you're looking for. I think we can come up with that and send it to you.
right.
Okay, and then
To clarify.
Thank you, I would
Yep.
appreciate that. And then one comment too is, so I really like that you've talked about the effort that's going on to manage this a little more centrally. So having worked on the state workforce task force that began 3 years ago, one of the things that we heard back from industry was that they would really like to just go to one central place as opposed to going to various schools to find out what are, you know, what do you have, here's our opportunities.
Right.
So if there's a way that we can really manage that more centrally to help our industry partners, I think
Well,
that would be
that
helpful.
definitely is what we're trying to do.
That's what we're
is
trying to
get
do at the Freeman Center.
At the Freeman Center,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
so we're not there yet, but we've made great progress, and so next year, when this is presented to you, I think it will look a little bit different from that standpoint.
Yep.
Well, this is huge improvement. So I was going to give you accolades for, but anyway, I'll just tell you now that, you know, as Trustee Hillsman had said, this has been one of my top priorities is to link what we're doing in education to the outcomes in the workforce. And so the strides you have made have been huge. I attribute that to the great deans that you've hired, to your administration, but also to our great superintendent, who I knew came to us with great experience in workforce. And this really shows the progress in just a year.
And the strength of the Freeman Center, and actually, you know, really a single place where people can come, work-based learning, all of that. I think it makes a huge difference when you have a location where people, it's very clear that's where you go. And that's the completion, you know, the Career and Completion Center. And over the next few months, we'll be turning the room that's right across the way from there, which used to be the EOC Center just over there, into our transfer center. And so the goal is going to be basically, you know where to go on our campus if you're looking to get an internship or work-based learning experience, work on completing, and also on transferring. So kind of a, you know, geographically locate them together.
Great, thank you.
So if I could comment.
Trustee Hillsman, go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, thank you, Terry. Thank you, Erica, for all your hard work on this. Thank you, Salvatrice. Thank you to the Freeman Center. I agree with Trustee Waugh that there's really been great progress. I have a few comments, and since it's kind of my swan song, I won't take too long. But let me say that when I came in, the issue of jobs in community colleges and those outcomes were, in the forefront nationally and regionally, locally. One of the things that I was distressed to find, and this was way out of the control of PCC, is, as Terry mentioned, there's a lot of funding from different agencies, is the good news. The bad news is there's a lot of agencies. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the dangers here is that you can fall into a meeting after meeting of regional agencies and economic development groups, and it all becomes basically abstract in a sense, and it's hard to keep our eye on the ball, which is, are our students getting more jobs? So that's the systemic frustration that I see, and I've been working a lot with the business council of the foundation. And, Erica knows about this and the Freeman Center, and we've been working very closely with them. One of the points that Terry brought up was to centralize the process so that it's not just every dean or particular deans who are committed to it, but that there's a centralized process. And the reason that that's so important is because when the industry folks from the outside come in, they want a kind of one-stop shop. They're definitely looking for our students, and they're looking for the demographic of our students because they really are interested in diversity. They're interested in ambitious first-generation students. So to have a smooth system operating, which is, I think, where we're definitely headed with the Freeman Center, is so important. The other point that Terry mentioned was the issue, for example, with the nursing. For about a year, the foundation has been trying to develop internships at hospitals for our nurses, and for various technical reasons, we've been shut out of that. And Terry mentioned that we've begun to find some creative solutions to that. But I think that the problem with accrediting agencies is at a higher level, so that, I think that if, for example, some of our electeds understood how these accrediting agencies are interfering, in a sense, with job creation for some of our students, that we could remove some of those roadblocks. The other thing I wanted to say was I'd like, and maybe the best thing for me would be to write a little memo to everybody on some of my parting thoughts about this. But I do think that we have to look a little closer at those internship numbers, the 3,200. And I think it's great, and I think those are good numbers, but I'd like to crunch them down a little bit, which is, I think, what Trustee Waugh is talking about. So that's just my kind of stream of consciousness thoughts about it. I don't have any particular questions other than to just say, keep going. You're doing a good job, but we have really serious challenges here on the workforce front. So thank you.
Thank you, Hoyt.
So I'm going to move quickly through what's left, but this slide I stopped on, though, because I think this is important from the standpoint of just showing how another way of measuring the effectiveness of our programs are by the number of degrees and certificates that our students earn each year. And you can see that both the number of AA degrees as well as ADTs, the numbers have grown considerably, and these are just CTE degrees, so which is good. Jobs. That's the whole idea of CTE programs, is to get jobs. And so this is just a breakdown showing whether they're full-time jobs, which is the 68%, whether they're half-time jobs, are between 20 and 40, basically, the 21%, and then less than 20, the 11%. So this is through a survey that basically is sent out. It's a statewide survey, so we're basically surveying students, and this survey comes out of Santa Rosa JC, but it has our specific data as well as part of that. And this is getting specific information from students in regard to those jobs. Are they working one job, multiple jobs? Are they self-employed, et cetera? And so you can see most of our students are 62% are employed at one job. And this is hourly wage of transfer students and non-transfer students before training versus after training. Not livable wage if they have a family of 3, but livable if they're probably married with maybe 1, but. Mm-hmm. So obviously we have to work on that part of it.
Dr. Judy, going back to that prior slide real quickly.
This one?
The next one after this one.
Oh,
That one right there, thank you. So how does this work for the transfer students? Because aren't they transferring, by transfer you mean transferring onto a 4-year?
correct.
So is that the hourly wage after they complete the 4-year, or is it after they complete the 2-year and they're also attending a 4-year? How does that work for the transfer student?
That's a good question.
Okay.
And that's the,
You can get back to me on that
I will
one.
get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm confused then. I thought that this was a report of those students who are going through CTE programs, not necessarily the transfer students. But now
Well,
you're saying this is-
but many of our, I should say, a handful of our CTE programs are also transfer programs. And so this is comparing the transfer to the non-transfer. And so I will get more information on this so that we all can understand what this slide is showing.
And it would probably help in the same vein just to understand the types of CTE programs that are also transfer.
Well,
Yeah.
that you can see from
we can see that on
this
on
handout.
this chart.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
this chart, because basically you can see for AJ, it's an AS degree and an AST degree. So if there's an AST degree, it's also a transfer program.
Got it.
If a program just has certificates of achievement, which you'll see many of these do, then students are getting jobs after completing a certificate of achievement, and they're not transferring. And so on this one, it would be the ones that have transfer degrees that clearly have both, that have bachelor's degrees that are associated with them, and students can get a certificate, they can get an AS degree, or they can go on and transfer.
Okay. Trustee Brown, do you have a question?
Yeah, one quick question. So how close are we in implementing the nursing, nursing and the transferring? Now, you mentioned earlier that nurses can, or we're working on getting them to get their AAN and take their bachelor's degree classes while they're here. Where are we at that?
So
with that?
two of the programs, one in business administration that with Cal State LA, that program has started.
It's started.
Right, and then the program with Azusa Pacific is the furthest along of those, and we're shooting for that program to start in the fall.
For the nursing?
For nursing.
For nursing, yes.
Good.
And that's assuming that nothing gets in our way, like a pandemic.
That's very good, actually.
Our students like our programs. That's what this one is showing. And then I mentioned how important the partnerships are. This diagram just shows all of the different internal parts of Pasadena City College that are all involved with this. So it's not just instruction doing this. There's a whole lot of other people that are involved. And then, as I've mentioned, the various partnerships that are important, that are external partnerships. And this is not a complete list. And so this basically is just identifying some of the external partners that are part of this. Many of these people obviously sit on our advisory committees. There are others. If I gave you the whole list, then the type would have to be even smaller. That is something that we can do. I was trying to get some of the packet put together for you. We can do a more complete packet that we can get out to all the trustees so that they can see a little bit more about the various aspects of this in more detail. And then how to...
So Dr. Junie, I think it would be helpful to know because to group them, to know which partners are involved.
Which partner is
industry
involved in which
segments,
program.
right.
Yeah, I agree. We will do that for you.
Thank you.
I think another really important part is that we look at labor market data, and so we look specifically at what jobs are out there, and whether they're well-paying jobs, and then we use that data to then basically determine where should we grow. We also use that data to say where should we maybe shrink. But we also use that data to identify various programs that we don't have, and we should maybe start focusing and looking at that. A good example of that is that we hired in the fall a culinary instructor and a hospitality management person because Pasadena City College did not have much in hospitality, and clearly if you look at the number of restaurants that exist in Pasadena and in the Los Angeles County area, that's a place that we clearly can grow. And so, those are examples of how we've used labor market data to drive various changes to what we are doing and what we have done. And so you'll probably see more of that in the future. And so this is just more of the same.
Hey, Trustee Wah.
So one of the questions I had was regarding the KPCC message that talks about how we offer 55 non-credit classes. And I'm not sure that is a message that our communities necessarily understand. But I think some of the data that you presented here is definitely what the outcome is. What is that success? Just offering 55 classes, I'm not sure anybody knows.
No, and actually I'm really glad you asked that question. And so William Sims, who now is an associate dean over non-credit, and he obviously, non-credit's not under me, but what I can say is that we have added him to my dean's council, so he is part of the conversation that's going on. I sent him that question, and so the answer that you saw in that came from him, but a big part of this is that we need to change that message. We need to make it more clear. And you know, we focused on the credit programs in this presentation. One of the things that we are doing is that we're sitting down with the non-credit as well as the credit administrators as well as faculty to more clearly show what non-credit does and what programs are available, but also the pathways that exist where students might start in non-credit and then move on to credit. And so then that message that you hear will change that because it needs to be much clearer on what that actually means. It's not really about what classes are there, it's about what programs and what work that might lead to and or what credit program that might lead to that could then go on and help students get jobs that pay good wages.
Absolutely. And I have I have a couple of questions. But anyway, one of the things I think is really important is, and I don't know if we have the data to track this yet. It's one of the things that I'm trying to look at in this GIS big data project is what are the numbers on the wage gain? How many of our students have a wage gain by taking our CT classes? How many of our students actually get jobs? And do they get jobs in the area in which they study? Do they get jobs in our region? So that shows how we contribute to the economic viability of our region. So I think, I don't know if that's possible for us to get those numbers.
Yeah, and so part of what Dr. Indradronis said and what, as I'm listening to you and I'm looking at this, what we will do is put together a report that can go to the board that breaks things down by program in regard to numbers of degrees and certificates, number of jobs that those students get, and what the wage gain is when they get those jobs. I think that will answer your question on the specifics of each program and how successful those programs are for our students in helping them get livable wage jobs.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to add before we close, Jim, if I could.
Trustee Hillsman, go ahead.
Thank you. One thing I forgot to mention, and this not so much for Terry or Erica, but for my colleagues on the board, is as I mentioned, I've been serving on the Business Council of the Foundation for a year or more. And one of the things and this represents a group of community leaders, people in industry, business, and one of the things that we've discovered is that we've had a kind of a deficit over the past few years, and obviously we're improving that a lot. But the deficit has been getting the message out that we have students who are well trained, skilled, and ambitious. We have this whole labor pool of students that they're looking for, but they don't think of PCC right away. That's what we've discovered. They may think of other places, but we don't have that pipeline going. So I would urge you to get a presentation from the Business Council. Our outgoing president, Bill Hawkins, has been very involved in this, as well as Bobby Abram. And Alex Buckelite has also been working with us on communications and messaging. So, this is not necessarily an internal college thing, but you have very strong partners in the foundation who are ready, willing, and able to work and to help. And they're also really well qualified because they have some very good connections, as we all know, who sit on the board out there in the community and industry. And it's really that personal touch that can make the connection between industry, employers, and the college. So that's especially important. And the other thing is that the foundation has considerable resources now, and they're looking at ways, more innovative ways than just giving scholarships, to try to improve some of the things that we're doing that are a little more forward-thinking, like workforce development. So talk to the foundation people and the Business Council about the outreach to industry, and also how they can use some of their resources, both in terms of contacts, but also some money going ahead. For example, one of the things we're thinking about is providing money for students to get business clothes that they can wear, because they don't necessarily have clothes that they can wear for an interview, or training on social skills. So things like that are really important towards in workforce development for the individual student in terms of getting a job. So that's just a plug for the Business Council, the foundation, but I think you really ought to be, they really ought to give you their pitch on what they've been doing. I think it'd be very interesting for you and productive, so thanks.
Thank you,
could
Hoyt.
just follow.
Trustee Wah.
Can I follow up on that before?
Yes, Terry, you go
what
first, and then Trustee Wah.
So what I would say is, I think we all agree that Pasadena City College is known mostly for transfer. And we've been told by Aspen that is true. And I think what I'm hearing from Trustee Hillsman, and I know that Trustee Wah has been pushing for this, we actually have great CTE programs here, and they're growing, as some of the data I've shared with you today has been. But I think what we also need to make perfectly clear as we communicate with our community, especially our business and industry partners, is that we have great CTE programs, and we need to continue to grow those. And Pasadena City College should not just be known for transfer. It should also be known for its CTE programs. And so we need to be working on how to message that, not just internally, but externally, so people realize that about us.
Absolutely. Trustee Wah.
So just to follow up on that a bit, so one of the criticisms I hear back from my community is, well, PCC only then is a good vocational college, but then our students, our kids won't go further. But I think when we talked in the state workforce, one of the things we talked about is how students will take a lot of different paths to get to their goals. Some students will go through a transfer automatically from a 2-year to a 4-year transfer. Other students may go into, take a CTE certificate, achieve some success, leave college for a while because they've gotten what they needed in the workforce, but then come back, and then eventually as they step through to their goals, they may reach a 4-year, they may reach a higher degree. And so I think that's part of the message that we need to send to our community, that there's a lot of different paths students will take, and this is one of the ways that we kind of build that vision for ongoing learning. So I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does, and I think as we're implementing guided pathways, that actually will also help with this, because in fact there are many pathways, different pathways for the type of student that you just mentioned. And so I think as we expand the implementation of that, I think that will become clearer to our students, but also to our community and to future students who are looking at ways to reach the career goal that they're looking for. And so yes, we have a lot of work to do. I think we've made great progress, but there's still a lot more to do.
And I'd love to see that messaged so that the community understands it. Even within our own college community, I would say that different people have different interpretations of what the guided pathway is.
That's very true.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? I just have one last request. So I had mentioned this sheet earlier, Dr. Juni, and I realize now this is a student-facing document in the sense it tells them what opportunities are available. What I'm actually interested to learn, if we are able to gather the data, is internships and work-based learning opportunities that our students engage in, and to see if that number is going up over time.
We will get more of that data for you. And when you mention this actually is a student-facing document, and the column that I took out, because if I included it, I'd either need a much bigger piece of paper.
Yeah.
But the column that I took out is actually the link that a student can click on, and it takes them to the site that they need to apply for these work-based learning opportunities.
That's great. So thank you for that presentation, and we peppered you with questions, and I think you can tell how all intensely interested the trustees are in our CTE program and expanding it. So any further questions?
Thank you, Dr. Juni. Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Yes,
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was just an information item. There's nothing to vote on. And before I go to the next information item, which is our superintendent report, let me take care of one or two housekeeping items. At the beginning of the meeting, I should have reported out that in closed session, no action was taken by the board, so I'll report that out now. And secondly, Trustee Chen Lau, are you with us? Okay, I was gonna.
Yes, I am.
Oh, there she is, great.
Yes, I am.
Awesome, thank you. So Sandra, we had a vote on item I-9, which was changes to the international application fee, and we didn't hear your vote on that. All of the other trustees voted in favor.
Yes.
Is that an
You want me to vote on it now?
Yeah, it's too late.
It's too late? Okay, my apologies. So we didn't
Okay.
get your vote recorded at the time, and so we'll leave it that way for the record. Okay.
Can't change votes in
Okay.
Congress.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fine, thank you, okay. Superintendent report.
Okay, well, the first thing I want to do is when I was heaping praise on Christo Kollross for the Educational Master Plan, I neglected to heap praise on Dr. Matt Hennis because, as you saw from the beginning of the document, they wrote the intro together because they walked this through together. And so I wanted to say thank you to him because this document is truly a reflection of partnership and getting it through the process. So, just wanted to say that. Gosh, I don't really have much to report. There's nothing going on.
Every day you've been reporting.
Every day there is something new. This is, as I've said in many places and in some documents, there's no playbook for what we are experiencing right now. And we began to kind of move into what to do as a college almost 2 weeks ago, and it has, and I think when you think about the magnitude of this college, 30,000 students in 4 locations, the fact that we are where we are right now, today is the first day that we went 100% online. Our campus is now closed to the public, closed to students. We're now serving them remotely or online wherever possible. Relative to comments that have come in by way of email, by all different ways, it's not perfect. and every time we get new information, we pivot and we try to fix the problem as we hear it. And so I just want to assure everyone that we take all of the comments. In fact, while we've been sitting here, I've gotten at least 5 emails, some from faculty, some from students, pointing out ideas, issues that they're confronting. And so, we'll get to work on those tomorrow morning when we get to campus, because what we've experienced is like one big game of whack-a-mole. Every time we think we have one thing solved, another problem that is sometimes related, some not, pops up. What I can tell you is that as smooth as it's possible to be, we've done it, but there's still a lot of things we need to work on. At the same time, we repurposed a faculty flex professional day last Thursday. We had a really long list of things we were going to do. We repurposed them to really focus on how do we get all faculty to offer as much online or remotely as possible. In some cases, we had faculty who already knew how to do that, and so they maybe took classes, they hadn't taken classes online, and they just said, okay, I knew how to do this with this class, I'll just do it with this other class. In some cases, we had faculty who've never taught online, never taught remotely, and so other faculty stepped up to the plate and helped out. And we also, of course, had a significant challenge with technology, but Associate Vice President for IT, Candace Jones, and her staff did an amazing job. In some ways, how to undo all the stuff they did is going to be the challenge, because they searched every nook and cranny of our 4 locations, and if there was a laptop, an iPad, or anything of a mobile sort, they found it and commandeered it, and wherever possible, they have deployed it to faculty who are now teaching it online or off campus. They've deployed it to staff who are working remotely where possible or necessary. They've deployed some of it to students, and I'm not even sure we're done with that. So it is an ongoing process. They have repurposed the lobby of their IT area, and I've heard that it's kind of like a hospital. Somebody is opening doors, making sure nobody's touching everything, because some people need to come and get that face-to-face help so that they can do the things online. So we've done that. Cynthia and her team have come together and have pulled together a lot of resources. We have documents, we have online counseling, we have online advising, we have a lot of online services. We have a drive-through pantry that was available today, and we have a schedule for when students can come. And I actually tweeted that out earlier today, so we're trying to get the word out. We are looking at how we help faculty as they transition those classes to online, especially the faculty who 4 days ago thought that their face-to-face labs were going to be okay, and then it turned out they weren't going to be okay. And there's been a lot of amazing progress done in a very short time. The biggest concern that we have, well, there are many concerns, but one of them is just the emotional toll that this takes on our students, the emotional toll that it takes on our faculty, staff, and administrators, because, we're doing what we're doing as an institution, but we're also all humans, and we have our own world that we're also in. I am semi-quarantined in my own house because I have a 90-year-old mother-in-law who I really can't be anywhere near anywhere she is because I'm still interacting with the public. And I know I'm not the only person in that situation. The biggest challenge I think we face is that for many of our students, this is where they come to feel safe. And this is where they come to get services, to get food, to get Wi-Fi, to get the kind of support they need to be successful. And that's the piece of this puzzle that we haven't entirely figured out. We've made some inroads, and I think we're doing as well as any institution can to have gotten at this point in so few days, but we still have a lot of work in front of us. At this point in the process, we have, because it's a fluid situation, we have initially said that the campus is closed and all instruction is online until April 20th, which is the Monday after our spring break. We have chunked out those timelines, and in my message to the campus yesterday, I asked faculty staff to make sure they check their email, make sure they check our website, because we're going to post updates to that date. The challenge, as I'm sure you all know, is that there are different dates coming out of different places. The federal government says one thing, the governor says one thing, counties say one thing. Can you be near 50 people? Can you be near 10 people? Can you be, so there's a lot of information out there, a lot of guidance. In some cases, not enough guidance, which we're still puzzling through. And we just have to make the best decisions that we can. Our health center director, Dr. Quinn Tang, and our physician, Dr. Ann Walker, have been amazing. They have participated in our COVID-19 task force, which we have met several times over the last few days. The executive team has had many meetings, and based on questions and issues that we've heard today, I think we'll be having one of those meetings tomorrow, because we have some things we need to follow up on. But while all of that is taking place, while we're trying to address these issues, we still need to push our academic programs forward. We have 72 open positions right now. Some faculty, classified managers, and we're doing everything we can to try to figure out how we can do that hiring as much as possible. And, hats off to Bob Blazinski's shop, who is trying to figure out the beauty of Zoom. We will be doing some interviewing tomorrow. I'm interviewing, I believe, biology faculty on Friday, trying to figure out what's the best way to keep that going, because again, the timeline is very unclear and everybody has a different answer. Terry Juni's area, the deans, I don't even know how many emergency meetings they've had. The library services that they have figured out how to develop, the online tutoring options. And wherever possible, based on guidance from the federal and state government, we are paying student workers. If they were already scheduled to work, we are able to pay them. And in some cases, we are also repurposing them. Like we need help packing up bags of food and getting those ready for students. So we're trying to engage as many people as we can, every way we can. What's been clear but not, but we have really implemented, is the fact that anyone who's over 65 should not be on our campus. They are supposed to be at home, and that's required by the governor, except for 4 of you. Just saying, for tonight. Which 4? So the governor has been very clear
I'm
that...
not there, and I'm even younger.
Okay, I'm sorry, 3. Pardon me. The governor's been very clear that those folks are required to be gone. What the system hasn't told us is, what does that mean in terms of how we figure out rules about leave, because our education code tells us one thing, employment rules, all kinds of things. So those are the kinds of things that we're puzzling through. Where we have found that we need to clarify, we do. And so it's not ideal, especially when it comes to those clinical programs where our students are not able to continue. Many institutions announced today that they'll be canceling their graduation. A lot of those institutions have graduation in early May. We have not made a decision about what we're going to do. Our graduation is not scheduled till June 12th. I don't think we need to make that decision for a couple of weeks, but clearly we may have to make that decision. But what we're trying to do is collect as much information and make decisions as we go. So I guess I'm going to end by saying as I said on last Thursday, right before, as I was doing an address for the Flex Day, John Lennon said, "Life is what happens when you're just making plans." We had a lot of plans for the spring. Life has gotten in the way, but it's very fluid. And so our motto is Semper Gumby, always flexible. And that is the way forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Androgenis, and thank you for keeping the PCC community, including the trustees, updated on a daily basis and sometimes more frequently, and rolling with the punches as they happen. Okay, we're going to move on to announcements, and we're going to start with shared governance. And I guess we'll have our shared governance representatives come up to the lectern since we're in this unique seating format. So we'll start with Associated Students President Dion Shelton.
Hello, everyone. First, I just want to commend all of you all in this room for all the hard work that you are doing in this crazy, chaotic time. I know that in this situation, you all are getting asked millions and millions of questions from any and everyone. And I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you do to make sure that the students are successful and still being able to complete their semester in a timely manner. As far as Associated Students go, we are working tirelessly to try to shift campus life as much digital as much as possible. Right now, myself and Alex are currently trying to record a PSA just to ease the students' minds and to ease the stress and just to let them know that we're here, we're human, and we feel you. You know what I mean? Like, I think everyone is kind of like having like high anxiety at this time because they don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on, but we just want to make sure that the students know that there are people here working for them and that there are people here to support them in as much ways as possible. We too are actually doing research on resources in the community, and we know because a lot of our students are out of district, we are also looking for resources outside of the Pasadena area to help the students who do not directly live in this area. As far as like campus events, we're still trying to figure out how to do that. We do have I would say like a social media challenge going on right now. It's called #CloseTheDistance. I mean, not literally, but figuratively. It's just to share the humanitarian side of what's going on. It's to offer a word of support to your people who might be going through things, whose family might be sick, who they might have lost their job in recent times. And as far as our elections go, we are too working to make sure that that is something that the students are able to participate in electronically, even though it's not really ideal, but we are currently trying to work out a system for that. As far as that goes, that's it. Thank you so much.
And
Thank you, Dion.
Trustee, I'm sorry, I neglected to say that one of the hardest working people in all of this too is Alex Bucko-Hyde, who's busy writing a lot of emails. So just wanted to
Yes.
throw that in there and,
Yeah.
you know.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah. Do we have anybody here from Classified Senate? I didn't see anybody. Okay, we're going to move on to Management Association. Tito Altamirano. Come on up, sir.
They don't mess this computer that's here up. Just put it, there you go. Alrighty, actually I would like to start by acknowledging the impeccable timing of our newest managers and welcome Jason Barquero, who is our new director of the Career Center, and Brian Cummins, who will soon be our newest director of Human Resources. There's no denying that these past few weeks have been nothing short of challenging. In that time though, and still today, our college administrators are going above and beyond to ensure that our students, staff, and faculty have what they need to feel supported amidst this crisis. I'd like to recognize, as Dr. Androgenis did, Dr. Quinn Tang, our Director of Student Health Services, who has been an instrumental resource for the college with his wealth of knowledge of the health field. Our student population that was first impacted by this virus was actually that of our international students. And I want to commend Olivia Liu, our Director of International Student Center, for her tireless efforts, many that have been transitioned to the general population, such as hosting workshops online via multiple platforms, and for her leadership. A big thank you goes out to our deans in all areas who have been continuously assisting faculty and staff in their unexpected transition to remote learning. A bigger thank you, though, goes to our faculty, who are the ones carrying it out and dealing with the stress involved in transitioning to a new method of teaching and learning. This is even more impressive, as one of our deans mentioned to me, in the area of applied technology, where the disciplines of automotive, welding, electricity, electronics, design tech, and culinary arts have all moved their courses to a remote learning platform. A thank you also goes out, as Dr. Jonas mentioned, to our Jason Robinson, our Director of Professional Development, for his flexibility and responsiveness to adapting what had been a carefully planned and organized professional development day into a responsive time with our deans and managers throughout the college. The work during the professional development day really helped all managers to better understand how to adapt services in light of the ongoing changes to life as we know it. These are tough times, but it's in these moments that we as educators must remind ourselves of why we do what we do. Carrie Starbird, Dean of Math and Computer Science, shared with me the following, and I don't want to mess it up, so this I'm just going to stay looking down and read. Gwen McKinley started in my beginning algebra class as a bright-eyed 14-year-old homeschooled student who was looking for a challenge. After leaving my class, she proceeded to take every math class we offer for STEM majors and transferred to UCSD to earn her undergraduate degree in mathematics. She recently informed Carrie that she defended her dissertation in mathematics from MIT. In her acknowledgement section, she recognized the faculty of PCC, specifically Dean Starbird and Kathleen Hogue, for, and I quote, "first showing me the beauty of mathematics and for encouraging me to pursue it. You have given me a passion and a profession." So I just want to say that and just remind us that that is what the staff of this college do. And in these trying times, I ask that we all recognize how we can positively, continuously impact the lives of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Tito. Dr. Matt Hennis, Academic Senate. Come on up, sir.
Good evening. So the Academic Senate was actually able to meet on Monday in a mixed format. Some were physically present and some teleconference via Zoom. That was an interesting learning experience for me. The meeting was largely informational. I was heartened by the level of participation on the part of the representatives, despite the challenges that they're currently facing in converting their classes to an online format. And to let you know, the facilities master plan will be seen as a second read this Monday at the Senate meeting, which will also be held via teleconference. We also have BPs that need to move on so that you, the board, can continue to have reading material. Faculty have been facing challenges of late, of course. It is also the case that many faculty have stepped up to assist each other and students during this time. We still have fires to put out, but I'm proud to see faculty rising to the occasion. I would particularly like to recognize Sheila Rose, the adjunct faculty coordinator, for going above and beyond to assist our part-time faculty, both here and at the Foothill site. I would also like to thank the administration of the college, who with 2 days' notice met with members of my executive committee to discuss the challenges and needs of the faculty and students last week. In other news, the accreditation self-study report is continuing to be shaped and improved. The introduction has been made publicly available for commenting. More will be posted as it is ready. And finally, in the most important news for me, the upcoming Academic Senate officers' elections will be held via postal mail. Thus concludes my report.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, trustee reports, and we'll start with our remote trustees. Trustee Hillsman.
I have nothing to report other than to say it's been an honor to serve on the board, and I will look forward to keeping in touch with you and continuing to do all I can for PCC. Thank you.
And thank you for your service, Hoyt. You served with distinction, and you'll be missed. Trustee Chen Lau.
It's been a real honor to serve with Trustee Hillsman Hoyt. When I first came on board, Hoyt was my mentor. He volunteered to be my mentor. And I just learned so much from the way that he conducts his meetings, how he always inspires us to think of our vision and be creative about our solutions, and to sometimes challenge the status quo. I feel that in many ways, learning from him to stay true to what our values are and not let the negativity get to us. Oftentimes we're in the daily grind of, decision making, but I think Hoyt has always found a way to find humor, but also to find purpose with the type of decisions that we make. And I have just learned tremendously from you, Hoyt, and I will miss you tremendously on this board.
Thank you so much, Sandra, and thank you for your friendship.
And regarding what's been happening in the last couple of weeks, I have never seen a community come together so quickly and so effectively like the PCC community, with the faculty, to students, to the staff, and certainly to the leadership team. It's just been tremendous team effort, and certainly with the leadership of our superintendent, who herself is a working mom, and I'm sure when Ava is at home being homeschooled, you're wondering what the heck she's learning. But I think that I think that there are so many working parents that are still so dedicated to the work of PCC. I know that Alex is one of them, and he's here. I get emails from him at 11 p.m., 6 in the morning, and I know that he has kids that are in daycare. So I just feel that it's a tremendously rewarding to see how the team has been working together, and it's very moving, touching to see how the PCC community has come together as a whole, and it does take a village. And I'm never quite used to the saying Semper Gumby, but I think I'm going to need to get used to that for the rest of the year. So thank you very much, and I say this with a lot of gratitude.
Thank you, Sandra. We're going to now go to our trustees that are present here, and we'll start with student trustee Alex Sarkissian.
So I just want to start off by like me and Dion's behalf, thanking Trustee Hillsman for absolutely everything. I know I left you all thank you cards today just because in the off chance that this ends up being one of our last face-to-face meetings, I wanted you all to know how much we appreciate each and every one of you. So Trustee Hillsman, you'll be getting your thank you card with your certificate and such.
Thank you, Alex.
Of course.
Thank you, Alex and Dion. Especially Alex, thank you for the sparklies every meeting. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad that's my legacy. But, as Dion mentioned, Associated Students is very hard at work, and one of our main goals is just student morale and trying to hit up as many of the different factors that students are dealing with right now. So last week, or not last week, it was yesterday, our executive board met via Zoom. Every day is mixing together. I have a great sense of time. So we met via Zoom, and Dion decided to divide up our executive board into different working groups to better address all the student needs happening now, and really just focus on, again, student morale, and so the students know that we have their back. And part of this is just making sure that for a lot of the transfer students, because they are very worried about their grades right now, we're getting a lot of comments about that, and doing what we can as students so that when an admissions officer is looking at their spring 2020 transcript, they know what was happening during that point. They're looking at it with an equitable lens. And just general PR through Associated Students, myself and Jessica Wu, who does all of our PR for AS, she's incredible, are working on a consistent, but again, not overwhelming social media post schedule that breaks down a lot of the amazing emails that Alex Hoyt sends to our students, and just get that to them in a really digestible way. Also, last Tuesday, the ad hoc committee that I formed to work on Trustee Tuesdays, which we are putting a pin on, but we're putting a pin on the face-to-face virtually. A lot's going to happen. But we had a meeting last week. I just got them up to date with everything happening with the school. And I reached out to them again today, just checking on them and their own, morales right now. And I was very happy to see that they were all really excited to hit the ground running and still wanted to form events so that you can hear back from students, especially now, and especially with the facilities master plan. So in student trustee news, you may have heard of AB 2910, which is a bill that was introduced that will grant student trustees an advisory vote statewide and allow individual districts to grant them full votes. So this is something that the Student Trustee Caucus had been working on for a while. I worked a lot with the president to make sure that it was something that was also realistic and wasn't something that, was just going to be an untried effort. So this is something, again, discussed with the caucus. However, the caucus leadership all resigned in the last month, which was, yeah. So we elected some new leadership. The president is Colin Fitzgerald from Calbright College, and the vice chair is myself. So we had a teleconference election last week. I know my time stamps. Last week. And I'm really going to use this opportunity as well to just have the student trustees network with each other so that we can all share our resources. I know some of us are not necessarily geographically close, but if we can just talk to each other. I've been in contact with the GCC student trustee. We've been texting back and forth what's happening on updates with their own student government. And all of this is just really to let students know about their resources. And I know Dr. Oliva is doing an amazing job of that. They're, being her Facebook friend is amazing. So many perks. And she's been letting students know, and we've been passing on a lot of information. But yeah, so that's all for us. But thank you again so much on all of your efforts. We know that it's not an easy job, and Dion and I want all of you to know that if me, myself, or any of the other associates, executive board members, if you need any student consultants, we are at your service. Yeah.
That's enterprising. That's awesome.
Thank you, Alex, and congratulations on your election. We're going to move to Trustee Fellow.
Thank you. I just want to thank the faculty and staff of PCC for what they've done, and I look throughout the country from California to New York, and it's amazing from kindergarten to high school seniors to universities, all teaching online. And I think that's amazing for the United States of America. And it is difficult, but I hope some of the teachers here who like teaching online, which I do, and I'm from the largest college in California, and 40,000 students, which is shut down today until May 22nd. And we don't even know if it's going to open then. But it's been amazing what's been going on. So I want to thank you, and I hope things get better soon. I also want to say thank you to my friend, Hoyt Hillsman, who I'm going to miss. He's been a great friend, and you've played it squarely and fairly, and now it's time for you to move on to the shadows, and you left a better PCC than you found it. And thank you, Hoyt, for all you did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony, and it's been an honor to know you, and I'm still planning to have a visit to Nancy's studio, for your art
Good.
studio, so we can all get together maybe for lunch when all this is past us. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Tony. Trustee Martin.
I want to join the comments of appreciation for Hoyt Hillsman. I have really appreciated working with Hoyt on this board. I'm going to really miss Hoyt. In particular, and I think all the other trustees have said it really well, better than I can, But in particular, during our superintendent search, Hoyt brought a lot to the critical conversation, and I think was a big part and instrumental in helping this board find a tremendous superintendent and get through the whole process we went through, and that's obviously one of the most important things a board can do. And I really just sit here thinking of time and time again a comment Hoyt made, something he looked up, something he did that just really was critical to our entire board in that whole process. And so, Hoyt, this trustee is going to tremendously miss you, but I know in many ways with the deep passion that you have for this college, I know you're not going away, and I'm really grateful for that. He's been a tremendous trustee, and I think Tony said it right. He's left this place a way better college than when he came. You've just done a stellar job, Hoyt. Thank you.
John, thank you. And, I appreciate so much your wisdom and experience. I remember in our discussions about the future of PCC and our hiring process, you brought out some really terrific biblical allusions, which I found that to be very impressive and literate. And I had happened just the other day to read that particular passage. So we could have a good biblical discussion, which probably it was a little esoteric for everybody else, but it was something I really enjoyed, and it's been part of the richness of our collaboration. So thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Well said. Trustee Wah.
So I also want to express my appreciation for you, Trustee Hillsman, and I think that you, as everyone has said, you really brought a lot to our board, just your personality and sort of your calmness and being able to deliberate. Even if we don't all agree, as you said, we've always been collegial, and each of us comes from different backgrounds and different perspectives. But I'm happy to hear that you will still be involved with PCC. I think you've been a very valuable member on the foundation and on KPCC, and I know that you've said that you're going to continue on the foundation. I think that we'll continue to benefit from your wisdom and your expertise.
Thank you, Linda.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm sure we'll see you again. I definitely will be visiting Nancy's studio again. I still have one of her little collages hanging in my office.
Well, just to respond quickly, the other thing about that I haven't mentioned is we've had a lot of fun on this board. We've had some great trips, we've had some wonderful meals, we've had a lot of laughs, and those are things that I will remember and cherish.
I also want to thank Alex and Dion. I hope this isn't the last time we'll see you, but thank you for at least reaching out and saying in case this is the last time. But you guys have really provided great leadership, and so I hope we'll still see you before the final day. But I do want to report on a few things. There's been a lot of happening at the state. As Dr. Androgenis has said, there's been a dearth of information forthcoming to kind of guide the colleges, but I think the Chancellor's Office is starting a number of webinars. Dr. Androgenis and I will also be participating in one of the webinars on moving forward in this crisis and helping to guide the trustees and the CEOs. So hopefully that'll be a more directed message, I think. A couple of things have come up at the state level, and I wanted to just report on. One is there's been discussion from the Academic Senate, the State Academic Senate, on the intersegmental ADTs and the need to really move forward. It didn't get included in the bills and legislation, but in discussion at Consultation Council, Jonathan Lightman made the recommendation that we need, and Jonathan Lightman is the new consultant with the League on the legislative issues. So he made the recommendation that we continue to sunshine this issue, that we keep it on the table. And so recommendation was that we, as a system, as a league, send out a resolution of support to keep moving towards intersegmental transfers. And that is, although we are the highest ADT provider, or I guess deliverer in the country, we still are having difficulty getting the CSUs and the UCs to increase the number of ADTs that we can provide, and we know that much of our reputation rests on our delivery of that. So anyway, we'll move forward on that. And then one of the trustees from LACCD asked to agendize an issue which at the state level, but I thought I would bring it up, and that is they are moving forward to provide, I guess, to help sponsor a bill from Christina Garcia, Assemblymember Garcia, to provide free feminine products, and especially you know, in this time of crisis where students may not have all of the toiletries or they may not have their food, they have food insecurities. This is an area where they feel it's very strongly that we can serve our women students. So something I bring to you all to consider if we have an opportunity to do that. And that's it. And just want to say I am thrilled about San Marino, and I look forward to South Pasadena also being part of that MOU. So really excited about that. So thank you all for moving that.
Thank you, Linda. Trustee Brown.
So you could have a drink on my behalf. So I don't have much to say, but first of all, Hoyt, you will be missed. Family member, you know, this is what it feels. We work as a team, and our family, you know, kind of broken up, so we got to heal and move on. But you will be missed, and I know that we'll see you here and there. So, you know, just keep in touch. And Dr. Andrew Jonas, I really want to tell you that I'm very proud of you. I'm proud to see how you have stepped up to the plate. I remember one of her questions that she asked the board when we interviewed her. Well, how often do you want to hear from us? We told her, at your convenience. Well, guess what? She stepped up to the plate. She kept up, bang, bang, bang. I appreciate your information, keeping us abreast step by step, and that's a sign of good leadership.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Trustee Brown. Okay, it's late, and I have a lot to say, but I'm not going to say it so we can get out of here.
We'll say it.
It's kind of an interesting bookend. I think when I first started as president, I set a record for the shortest meeting, and we're going to finish my term with the longest meeting we've had. So I'll try to put this meeting out of its misery. Hoyt, it's been said by everybody before, and so I won't repeat all the comments. And I think the certificate you're going to receive really says it all. Thank you for your service. And you've been a great wingman as the vice president here, sitting next to me, and greatly appreciate that. And you will be missed, but we look forward to your continued involvement in other ways. And then lastly, just thanks to Dr. Ender-Jonas and the administration, the faculty, and the staff. One thing that was very clear to me, I've been communicating with Erica on a daily basis, and sometimes more frequently, as the situation has changed and we've had to continue to change our plans on literally a daily basis along the way. It became clear to me that her top priority, as she was thinking through what was happening and what needed, the plans that we needed to make and change, was how do we help our students continue to move along their path towards their goals, whether it's a transfer degree or a certificate, et cetera. And I think that's actually made your decision making easy as you've gone along, when you have the right overall objective in mind. And then to the administration and faculty and the staff to then execute on a dime all of these rapidly changing instructions. And kudos to all of you, and thank you for your your calm in these unprecedented events, and your patience and your flexibility and your creativity, and just keep up the good work. This could be the last meeting where we all get together on a face-to-face basis for some time, and so I'll miss seeing all of you personally, and we'll soldier on through the internet. And it's been a real honor to serve as the president for this term. Our organizing meeting will be the next meeting in April, so my term comes to an end officially then. But this is really my farewell, and I want to thank all of my fellow trustees who stepped up and took on all the committee assignments, and particularly, again, the executive board, Berlinda and Hoyt. Thank you very much. I'm a really, really bad bowler, and when I go to a bowling lane, I love those bowling lanes that have the bumpers, so when you throw your ball down
for
the
like
bowling
kids.
lane.
I mean, seriously.
Thank you. No, I get out the bumper lanes, and I've felt this whole year. I've had a bumper lane on my left, Dr. Androgenis, and on my right, Hoyt Hillsman. It doesn't feel right. Hoyt, you're over the phone. Erica, you're all over there.
It's
but
the room.
They would try to keep me
Well,
on agenda.
I'm really touched, Jim. I've never been called a bumper lane before.
Well, you're a good bumper lane, Hoyt. Great wingman.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you too for doing your best to keep me on track, on course, and on agenda, and keep that bowling ball going down the lane. So, without any further ado, let's move on. We have proposed future board business meeting dates. If there are no proposed changes other than the venue format, we don't need to go through anything further on that item. So we'll move on to
Mr. President.
Trustee Martin.
So the audit committee would recommend that we do try to schedule a study session. And I think it was best for the administration sometime between April and May.
Oh, the facilities committee to discuss
to let the full board get the benefit of what the committee heard today and the direction the committee gave. So.
And do you want to do that in our next regularly scheduled meeting, or do you want to do that in a special meeting?
I think we should.
We were talking about having a study session / retreat sometime between the April 15th meeting and the May 20th meeting, so that the entire board had an opportunity to review the facilities master plan in-depthly, as well as look at the cost projections and all kinds of things around it, because the facilities master plan will be presented to you in May for approval, and there are a few things that you all should have an opportunity to really discuss in depth.
Do we want to set that meeting tonight, or do we want to set that by email circulation?
We will send out some possible dates so that we can get everyone's availability after April 15th, once the new board is completely set, including the leadership.
Okay, so we'll circulate a email to set up a meeting after April 15th. But before
May 20th.
Before May 20th, for a special study session on the FMP.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any proposed future agenda items? Trustee Wah.
So I just wanted to keep on the table that at our last retreat, we talked about having some additional training for the trustees on communication. So I just want to keep that sunshine, because especially with the changes that are going on now throughout our college, and then we'll have change in our own board, that might be a good time for us.
And Trustee Wah, tentatively, we're looking at one of the summer months to do that. So we've had some conversation with Tim Leong up in the Peralta district, and we're just trying to find the right time. Contra Costa, pardon me, in Contra Costa. So we're just trying to find the right time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, any other proposed future agenda items? Hearing none, it's time to adjourn.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.